Recently, many products, from soda alternatives to electrolyte powders and even protein powders, have begun silently swapping sugar for a new, trendier alternative, stevia. And maybe you have too. After all, it's natural, 0 calorie, and 300 times sweeter than table sugar. So on paper, it looks really good. But what if I told you that stevia might be wrecking your gut and causing infertility issues? Probably not something you want. Today, we're going to be reviewing the literature and determining whether stevia is something you should actually be consuming. Also, if you're interested in these kinds of topics, make sure to hit the subscribe button. These videos take a long time to make, and I would really appreciate it. Okay, let's first start off by talking about what exactly stevia is, because stevia itself can refer to many different things, and it can be quite confusing. When used in the context of food, it's almost always referring to high purity stevioglycosides, which are the sweet molecules extracted and purified from the leaves of the Paraguayan plant Stevia rebaudiana. And of the 40 plus stevioglycosides that do exist, the most common variants you'll find within the food industry and in studies are called stevioside and rebaudioside A. Now, I know all this background information and all these names might be boring you to death, but I do think it's very important to get this out of the way, because a major issue with analyzing the health effects of stevia at this current time are the number of glycosides, the quantities used, and the parts of the stevia plant that are included in the studies. Most of these studies have a lot of conflicting evidence, and there's not very many studies on human participants. So please, be wary of individuals promoting stevia as either absolutely good.
My friends, I'm hearing some rumbling out there that stevia is bad for your gut and your gut microbiome. And I'm here to say that is flat out fake news.
Or absolutely bad.
So of all of the health data we do have, we have this tiny little piece in which stevia is actually worse than aspartame, which is supposed to be the silent killer of a generation.
Because we simply don't know enough about it yet to make those judgments. However, the evidence that we do have at this current moment does point to a number of very interesting things. Experiments performed on male mice over a period of 60 days found that the consumption of stevia leaf led to decreased size in testes and decrease in the sperm concentration. Further studies confirmed these findings, but there is still some conflict in the findings between different studies. The only issue with these studies was that a lot of these experiments used the whole or parts of the stevia plant, rather than the isolated glycosides found in most consumer products, making the experiments uncontrolled and very hard to replicate. But in 2016, a detailed study examining the effects of the isolated glycosides found that glycoside forms stevioside, rebaudioside A, and steviol, which are the most common forms, did in fact have endocrine disrupting effects. In particular, they were found to increase the production of progesterone, which is a female sex hormone, while blocking its receptor. Now, this is some very bad news, and this was attributed to the fact that the glycosides found in stevia are very similar in shape to that of hormones such as testosterone and estrogen. It's plausible to say that the glycosides found in stevia could mimic the effects of such hormones, leading to endocrine disruption. Chemicals that block or antagonize receptors like that of stevia are used clinically as contraceptives for women and to terminate pregnancy. And interesting enough, this lines up with historical evidence of Brazilian tribes utilizing stevia as a natural way to control the fertility of women. Although the levels of stevia found in consumer products is likely not enough to greatly notice these effects, the simple fact that they can cause these issues does bring into question how much they are truly hurting both men and women's fertility. Moving on, let's talk about stevia's effects on gut health. Stevia contains several antimicrobial and antibiotic properties. Thus, it may actually be good for fighting off foodborne bacterial illnesses such as salmonella. This is one of the main arguments that the pro-stevia side uses to suggest that stevia is actually very good for you. However, the issue with this is that stevia is not a selective antimicrobial, and thus it kills or inhibits several important probiotic species as well. For example, this 2003 study found stevia to majorly inhibit the growth of anaerobic bacteria, a vital part of the gut and respiratory tract. This other 2014 study found that the growth of Lactobacillus reuteri, a healthy probiotic strain that inhabits the human gastrointestinal tract, was inhibited in the presence of stevia sweeteners. Additionally, an even newer study found in 2020 that when pregnant rats consumed stevia alongside a high-fat and sucrose diet, their offspring had higher body fats and lower glucose tolerance levels, despite the offspring never having consumed stevia. In these studies and many others, stevia was shown to suppress the growth of helpful bacteria, which promotes the imbalance of the microbiome and potentially even drives obesity. So is consuming stevia going to make you immediately drop dead? Obviously not. But that doesn't mean it's not important to pay attention to the many potential consequences consuming stevia at a high level might have. And if anyone is consuming stevia because they think it's better than aspartame or sucralose or any of these other artificial sweeteners, just know that stevia seems to be just as bad. And just because something's natural doesn't mean it can't hurt your health. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more just like it, make sure to subscribe and even share it with a stevia loving friend. Our goal of this channel is to deliver informative, unbiased information so you can make better decisions about your health. Stay tuned, and until next time.